we're here again for the second time in the same place. The irony of that, with John Mcghee from the FBU. John, welcome back. It'd be wrong, as we're in Staffordshire, not to talk about the plans outlined by the current Police and Crime Commissioner, Matthew Ellis, to merge police and fire services. Why is it a bad thing?
Well, I think it's not just a bad thing, but it's a really dangerous thing. First off, I mean, one of the things that the Fire Brigades Union position on the police running the fire service is not about a lack of respect for the police, but it's a reality. And the reality is that our members are seen as very neutral. They're not law enforcers, and they're not part of the legal system. So there are some parts of our communities, sadly, where the police don't have quite the same access, whereas our members are welcomed with almost open arms, which gives us a great opportunity to do fire safety work. And one of our big fears is that the fire service being run by the police, we will lose that independence and that autonomy. So we think that will set back the safety in communities quite a bit. But far more importantly, I mean, I think the fire services is a big part. It's a community service. We do far more than just fight fires, as you know. And the democratic control of fire services, I think, is something that's really important to us. And if you look at the way that these police and crime commissioners and the turnout of elections, actually being able then, as a community, to influence how your fire service is going to look is going to be extremely difficult. Whereas by electing a whole load of councillors and then creating fire boards or fire committees, it gives you a much better chance to have a democratic say in how your fire service is run.
So, as a union and as firefighters, more importantly, you're urging people to make their voice, to show their opposition to this, especially with the election being next week as well. It's hugely important that this issue is highlighted.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really important issue. We've been trying to lobby to get changes in Parliament so that actually it takes away that power that the police and crime commissioners can't take over a fire service unless there's a will of the local people to do so. And that's something that that we're very concerned about, because those powers don't exist yet. So we're actually having these elections yet again, and the powers of, so we're going to be electing someone and then giving them new powers once the election's been run. So it's really important that people are aware of the dangers and they vote for someone who will act responsibly.
The FBU has re-affiliated to Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party. Was that an easy decision for the union, or was there some concerns in doing that?
Well, it was never an easy decision, and we re-affiliated to the Labour Party. It's not just Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party, and I think Jeremy would say that himself, and that's the important thing about it. It's a Labour Party that, with Jeremy's leadership, has demonstrated the sort of policies and principles that are embodied in the Fire Brigades Union's own policies and principles. So, yeah, it was a decision that was taken very carefully, because and we tried to obviously weigh up the view of our members, and we felt at the time that overwhelmingly our members were ready to do that and realised that actually we do need to have a political fight to change the way that workers are treated in the fire service and in general. So I'm very proud of the decision. I'm very pleased, but we will still struggle and fight to make sure that we keep the Labour Party going in the kind of direction that Jeremy's been leading it in.
We're facing probably the biggest political decision that many of us have faced for a number of years on the 23rd of June with the European referendum. Where does the FBU stand on the
referendum?
On the referendum, in or out?
Well, we've had quite a long debate at our national executive, and we're recommending a position to our national conference, which takes place in May. And the position we're recommending is, on balance, we think that workers are better still inside of Europe, So we're recommending to members, we understand and appreciate that it's individual members will vote as they please, but as a union we've seen to our members that on balance we think that they're better protected as part of Europe. I think we took into consideration a lot of the health and safety legislation, working time directives, you know, all these sort of things. If you look at, I think somewhere in the region of about 70% of health and safety legislation emanates from Europe. And we're not, you know, we haven't got a government yet who are likely to endorse those or improve on those. In actual fact, you've got, you know, in or out of Europe, the Tories want to reduce the red tape, the burden as they see it, and of regulation. So there are real dangers, I think, because again, as I say, the majority of regulation that affects health and safety comes from Europe, and there's no guarantee that any government will stick with that.